Okay, hello again. So my name is Evelina Kvedaraviciute. I'm working at the Central Bank of Lithuania, but I need to disclose that this is my view, not related with the Central Bank. And I'm also writing my PhD in Vilnius University. And this paper was written together with my supervisor and Professor Alfreda Šapkauskienė, and also Professor Mikhail from Northeastern University in Boston. Okay, so this is the short content of a presentation. I have a lot of slides, but I hope we will fit into time. Let's start with the concept of CBDC and what you have heard about different kinds of CBDCs. Probably you know that there are like retail part of CBDC, research or adoption, or wholesale part. When we also hear this CBDC, probably the first idea is spinning around once again DLT or blockchain technology and this new type of things. But actually the first CBDC project dates back even in the 90s. Project Avant in Finland also had tried to invent some central bank money, of course not on the blockchain, but on credit cards. Today we have more than 160 different projects around the globe trying to test or invent or adopt different CBDCs. And once again, none of them are based on blockchain DLT. We have various. One of used to be leading project when I started this research was Project Hamilton, conducted by Federal Reserve Bank of Boston together with researchers from MIT. And they invented very fast settlement payment system, open source system. Again, someone are trying to invent CBDC from various approaches, from top to bottom, bottom to up approach. And there are a lot of different projects at BIS trying to just take small part and test or adopt these new technologies, like Project Rialto for FX market, or another ones for investigating various small detail features of future CBDCs, like privacy, cybersecurity, etc. We also have this Finternet idea, which we discussed today with one of the authors, where there is a movement which started with a paper from Augustin Kaštains and Nilekane at BIS. There they have this vision about all these various ledgers, even not only related with financial markets or money, but also going beyond money and financial markets to various like registers or ownership identifications techniques. So this new vision are trying to unify all these different kinds of new payment systems, settlement systems in one hopefully improved financial system. As I said, when we started this paper last year, we have a little bit different landscape. And what's current statuses of these adoption efforts in the globe. So with the new administration, we have a little bit changed direction in United States. And suddenly, United States are going from inventing CBDC, testing CBDC, to more like use private stable coins instead of CBDCs. So now, at the current moment, we have this approach that probably stable coins could fulfill this idea. And on the other hand, in Europe, we have Digital Europe project, and also the first comprehensive framework for crypto asset regulation. Also in United States, recently, the Genius Act was implemented. So with all that in mind, these different visions from crypto market regulation and crypto companies entering traditional finance, to new ways of central bank money, and even going beyond the money and financial system with vision like Finternet. So we have noticed this like different opinions, and the idea of this study was to how we can map these different ideas. Sometimes stakeholders use even like different terms for the same ideas. Sometimes you could feel these, let's say, tensions between different adoption techniques. But we wanted to look, are they really so different, or do we see some common topics? So we took 4 different groups, this time more or less outside academia. There can be various projects together with academia, but so we took central bankers from BIS, then central bankers from Federal Reserve. Also, one group will represent what we called RegTech people, or more regulators, but not central bankers, or more supervision people, okay? And we also included DeFi community, or these who are actually inventing these new type of technologies and things. And the research question was simple. So what are underlying connections and differences between all these 4 groups? So just in short, so we conducted this mixed method study. We used content analysis. We used tools like WordStat and Vivo. The paper is still working paper, so recently we added also semantic brand score technique, which is new. And we believe that the contribution of the paper will be that by shedding this light on these different approaches, we could make these sometimes these like different discourses maybe in the future come together and really discuss it in a more comprehensive way. So overall, CBDC discourse, this is like short overview from the data. So CBDC, of course, it's about money, central bank, but various topics also surface from the data and discussions we investigated. So of course it's about payments and digital finance, but it's also about internet comparison, for example, or cryptocurrencies, or some risk, cash, privacy. So literature Before this study, we also did another one where we mapped academic thought on this topic. So this is like continuous work, and now we are adding more practitioners. And also we are following research on like central bank speeches, some social media, and of course the internet paper, like inspiration. So the previous work where we mapped discourse in academia, we have identified 3 main topics. So there was research on CBDC and policy, like financial stability, monetary policy and issues. There was also like CBDC and different concepts more related with design and features. And also we found some papers discussing CBDC and the effect of banking system. And now we are trying to go further by adding these 4 stakeholders. So Fed was chosen due to this leadership with Project Hamilton and leading innovation. We also followed with FinterNet and BIS community. BIS has various different labs and centers testing CBDCs. And then, of course, innovators itself, DeFi and RegTech people. So how can we map these different ideas and discourses? So we have chosen content analysis, following like classical techniques, but different variations of available tools. So in order to measure, to put measures on words and these ideas, we use factor analysis with software, word stat software, and we put some measures on topics which are important for all these groups. And we use eigenvalues to evaluate the importance of different topics, and also coherent measures to measure the coherence between discussions. So we collect a lot of different transcripts of either panel discussions or interviews publicly available. We collected them as a transcript, and later we settled with 20 from each group. So as I mentioned, Kaiser criteria, eigenvalues for importance of the topics, and we have chosen like threshold eigenvalue 3 to be to measure important topics, and also these normalized pointwise mutual information coefficients to measure coherence. 1 means perfect coherence. So out of these, when we checked all the groups, we have a little bit different measures between the groups, and it looks like Fed group, for example, had the overall higher eigenvalues. Maybe these topics are more important, but for example, RegTech community, they have low eigenvalues, but very high coherence. Maybe they are talking very explicit language they use. My guess is on this, but we will elaborate. Okay, so when we looked into different topics important for these groups, we found, of course, some common topics, like payments are important for all four. But there are different variations how we look into these payments. Like Fed touches payments and interoperability as during discussions. BIS, RegTech talks mostly about cross-border possibilities with these and cross-border payments. DeFi brings stablecoins to cross-border payment discussion. So payments are one of the common topics, and also a settlement system. If we look to these topics by groups, so these which we identified with factor analysis and word stat, we can see some variations like payments, real-time payments, interoperability, and like highest eigenvalue for Fed. So these are like what we are discussing about. And we can also notice some different keywords between the groups, like if BIS are using unified ledgers, Fed will use multi-CBDCs, but actually it's similar. Yeah. So what we can highlight from this Fed discourse, they were but what are the difference between other groups that we take this money and programmability into play. So here we mapped like discussion points from this payment to crypto regulations. And on top of that, we use natural language processing technique and NVivo, and also did some manual coding and later automated coding to also investigate smaller topics. And we also assign these topics to the context, because like wholesale CBDC, usually in CBDC topics, but like stable coins for Fed, we can see and comes in the context of crypto assets, when for DeFi people, stable coins can come into like payment, for example, context. So these topics, small topics can be different, but they can be same between the groups, but show up in different contexts. If we proceed to like BIS, once again, payments are really important, but what is different from other groups, but it seems like BIS is looking into this two-tier global banking system, and they are, of course, by the nature, the only group which also discussed money functions, like monies, and this internet idea I have mentioned before. What else? So for BIS, with these small topics, we see that there are a lot of emerging topics, and also the variety of topics are quite wide-ranged. As an opposite, if we look to the RegTech people, like supervision and risk people, and if you remember, we added this threshold of eigenvalue free. So only 2 topics met the threshold, and it was cross-border payments and financial stability and simulations. So there are other topics we talk about, but they have not met the threshold, but they have very higher coherence results. So, and between these topics, there are some topics which showed up only with RegTech community, like smartphones, some special territories and experimentation. So very few topics, but very sharp language, let's say, high coherence. So if Reg people are near their table, they understand each other quite well, use same language, but this can make some troubles discussing with other stakeholders. So if you remember with BIS, a lot of different topics with RegTech. With RegTech, few topics, more concentrated about risk testing, simulation, cross-border payments. Okay, so let's look for inventors or innovators with DeFi community. So when we hear this discourse in the media or about like crypto community, usually we all about like we do not need too much regulation, or like there are some discourses spinning around which before the research maybe I had some biased views, but the foundings about topics important for DeFi community actually showed up that DeFi people and innovators, they actually care about regulations. And they care about governmental systems and like financial stability challenges. This comes like a surprise for a little bit. Also the interesting finding was that they not only create new systems, new visions, but they take some old historical ideas and bring them to new interpretations, like full reserve system and Chicago plan. Once again, this showed up during the discussions at DeFi community.
Probably because they were regulators at some point as well, right? So, for example, this Karsten, he was a regulator and before in the...
No, so Karsten goes to BIS.
All right.
DeFi, it's more like Jeremy Allaire, like this inventing stable coins. IT people, hackers. Yeah, so they are actually, for them also, global financial system risk are important with old ideas but new form. Instead of narrow banking, full reserve system with banking sector, now we are talking that we can use stable coins and bring these ideas back. Or there is also comparison like internet and these new CBDC stable coins. Parallel with internet usually goes by that with these financial technologies, we are still in early stages, and probably in the future, these can change our social life as internet did for previously. Okay, so DeFi also, we mapped all these different topics, and it was not about like DAO, smart contracts, cryptocurrencies, but we found very similar topics like central bankers care about, from monetary policy, fiscal stimulus, fiscal policy, various different. Yeah, so this, I just put some citation from interviews, but yeah. just to confirm that there is a discussions bringing this Chicago plan narrow banking, but from also like stable coins are important part of DeFi discourse. They see parallel with stable coins in internet and like new way of financial system. And these findings came even before the current composition with new administration in the United States. Okay, so some, again, stable coins, money, as more related with data and internet. Okay, so we also put some new measures with semantic brand score and similarity measures between the groups. So like Fed BIS seems like most similar. Also BIS and DeFi discussions were similar. And well, like RegTech in their own bubble. So we also looked into like context group, more like group level of small topics, and like CBDCs, payments, cryptocurrencies are among all 4 groups, but some topics showed up more just in 1 or 2 groups, and like risk were discussed by DeFi, Fed, RegTech, BIS, more about, they talked about risk, but maybe in other contexts, like different grouping. So once again, to sum up a little bit, so DeFi bringing these new ideas, but also old ideas, new versions. Also talking financial system as parallel with internet, new data-based open source system. BIS brought this money functions into the picture, unified ledger and Finternet idea, and what were important to RegTech, simulation and testing. So as you remember, in the BIS group, we found a lot of emerging markets, but also into this RegTech discussion with high coherence but low eigenvalues, and also with emerging concepts and terms, they can be different between different groups. Like DeFi discuss stable coins as a main topic, but for BIS it's still emerging topic. So also discourse can have different timing. Yeah. So this I already discussed. Low eigenvalues for some topics, but high coherence at RegTech community. Also, once again, summary of topics and their importance. And what was discussed already between the groups, and when we used NLP techniques, number of small topics were different, like DeFi, Fed, BIS, once again, various topics, RegTech, few topics. Okay, and so we mapped all these small topics and also thought, so how we can, okay, we got these results, we can have citations, we can read it, but also how to compare between the groups. So on top of this topic mapping of the topics, we also add sentiment analysis. This is a little bit like a glimpse of these sentiments. So this graph represents topics with sentiments in line between the groups, like CBDC. The red is 50% positive. So more like positive payments. All groups have like positive thoughts about CBDCs. Innovations also. DeFi, BIS aligned with security and positive impact which CBDCs could bring. We also have topics which have a little bit different sentiments. Like cryptocurrencies for BIS, negative sentiment in the discussions. Or stable coins, more or less neutral. In BIS, also like negative. So this is still work in progress, and like the final conclusions, you will need to read the paper. but to sum up a little bit and to invite you practitioners and academia to discuss CBDC as an important topic, and without alignment between different stakeholders, we do have some challenges for adoption. So it's really important to come together, find topics what are important for different groups. We can have different sentiments, but only bringing everything together could make adoption feasible. Yeah. And for future research direction, we also think maybe to also do like focus group discussions, actually bringing these different stakeholder representatives from different groups, putting them into same room and encourage to agree on disagreements, or so that's it. Thank you. Any questions? Okay. So I hope you will have. Okay.
I have a question. I mean, if payments is so important, right? And these institutions have been involved in payments infrastructures for such a long time. I mean, how do they feel? I mean, why do they feel that this is foundationally different? I mean, it's just moving the same money in a different form. So, you know, why do they think that it will be more inclusive? You know, it's just money that is moving.
But it's with payments and cross-border, it's more like how we built this system. Of course, it functions, but there are a lot of different rails behind it. And like we built these rails based on legacy system. And like the question could be like, if we have all these innovations we have today, how we will build it from scratch. So there can be more like different functionality from programmability or this finality of the payments, or 24/7 global market. So where innovations today are going like ahead, but we still have these legacy systems.
Okay.
Yes, and you thinking of assessing whether the concept used by the different groups are understood the same way, because there are definitions that are not so were defined some terms, so we may use it.
Yes, so by investigating these keywords, but also different contexts, we are trying to do that. It's mapped, but I'm still working on to finalizing. We also have some measures like distance between these words, but still work in progress.